Well, good day everybody. Welcome back to the High Desert Garden. Today is an exciting day. We're going to have some wood chips delivered. Alright, I've already showed you in previous videos what the garden area looked like, how it was full of sand and pea gravel, and how I was able to remove the sand and pea gravel and turn it into a garden area. Well, now it's time for some wood chips. Alright, so here is the new garden area. And here's what it looks like so far. These wood chips are going to be a great thing because they're going to help to retain moisture. Not that I need it necessarily in the pathways between these raised beds, but they will bring in worms and beneficial microbes. And back here, this is where I've been piling up all the gravel. I just need to clean it up a little bit. It's actually really helped to level out the yard. There was a severe slope, and you can see what an improvement. This is going to make for some really nice topsoil in the future. I know you heard other gardeners knock the back to Eden garden method, but the whole purpose behind it is mulching, creating excellent topsoil. Let's just stop and talk a minute about this back to Eden garden method. Is it some new thing? No, absolutely not. Mulching has been going on for hundreds, thousands of years. Many of you may be gardening very similar to the back to Eden garden method already. It simply has to do with applying mulch, and preferably thick layer of mulch as seen in the back to Eden garden method. Now I applied my wood chips 3 to 4 inches thick, and this helps to provide a very good covering, which will retain moisture, can also absorb moisture if we happen to get a torrential rain and it rains a lot. It can actually absorb the moisture and slowly release it back. So why is it so good, in my opinion and many other people's opinions, to use this method? Well, first of all, it is absolutely not hard to do. It doesn't matter if you have a small suburb plot like I have here. I applied 5 yards of wood chips to my little garden area. 5 yards of wood chips, it was a bit of work for me to do myself, just with my shovel and my wheelbarrow. But for those of you who have acres or hundreds of acres, you can do this. I've seen your videos. I've seen your tractors. It certainly wouldn't be hard to do. But I've heard people complain, oh, if I had to garden like that, I would quit gardening. Well, you have to put things in perspective and look at what's happening to your soil and the way you're gardening now. The way you're just dumping your chemical fertilizers in the soil, and you're affecting and killing earthworm populations and microbes, and the fact that your soil really technically isn't soil. You don't have any topsoil. Your soil is getting bleached because of the chemical fertilizers, and it is simply just a growing medium that you're growing things in and dousing with more and more chemical fertilizers every year. If you use this method of mulching, you don't even have to call it back to Eden gardening if you don't like that. I know a lot of people don't like it, and that's fine. You certainly have the right to garden however you want to, but if you think about all the stuff that you grow, I've seen some people who grow corn and everything else. What happens with all those corn stalks? Well, I suppose if you're piling them up and you're composting and you're putting that back in your garden, that's helping. Or you could simply chop and drop all those corn stalks or whatever else it is you're growing. Chop and drop it. You don't have to use wood chips if you don't want to. I chose to use wood chips because I think they are aesthetically pleasing. They're very nice to walk on, especially compared to the sand and gravel that I was walking on. Oftentimes it felt kind of like I was walking on concrete. It can be hard on the joints. When I'm walking on the wood chips, it feels like a sponge. It's nearly impossible to, well, it is impossible to compact those things, at least until they decay and break down. So why does it work? What else does it do? It retains that moisture. It keeps the life in the soil. When you don't have topsoil and your soil dries out, the microbes, the bacteria, the fungi, everything in there is dying off when your soil dries out. And those wood chips help to retain it and keep your soil alive. It brings in those things that like to feed and live in a living soil. Worms, bugs. I want bugs in my garden. Bring that bug poop. Bring that worm poop. If it's not good enough for the bugs, it's not good enough for me. There just really is so many benefits to the mulching and the covering, and this is something that people have been using for hundreds, thousands of years before Paul Gauci, or I'm sorry, whatever his name is. He really is a great gardener, and I really do think that he's using a fantastic method of gardening. There's many different methods that you could use to grow good food and grow organically. And I don't care if you're trying to grow commercially, you want massive amounts of production. There's ways to do it without dousing your fields with Roundup and chemical fertilizers. And year after year, it'll just get better. Now I've got my corn planted in this garden area here. In a previous video, you saw that I worked some compost and I turned the soil. Well, my corn is in there. As soon as it comes up and reaches about a foot tall, I will add wood chips over the top of this entire garden area here. I did extend the perennial bed here where I've got my blueberries. These two blueberry bushes were planted way too close. I moved them further apart. I do have a third blueberry that I'll plant right at the very end there to give a nice 3 to 4 foot separation between those. The strawberries are coming along very well. I should have some berries shortly. We're still getting down into the 30s at night, so I did plant some potatoes, those small red potatoes that you get from the grocery store. I planted some of those here. Back here in this bed I have some kale, some sugar snap peas, cabbage, broccoli, stuff that hasn't quite come up yet. Over here I've got my lettuce, some more sugar snap peas. I sure love sugar snap peas. And these are my pepper beds, so of course they don't have anything in them yet. Yeah, it'll be about another month before I'm able to bring the peppers out, maybe even a month and a half. the tomatoes as well. I've reserved this nice big bed right here for some tomatoes. In the meantime, I have my tomatoes in the mini greenhouse over here, and I've been working on installing an Oya system in there. So you can expect that video to be coming up shortly, a new video on the Oyas that I'm putting in the mini greenhouse here. So it's not quite complete. I'm working out a few kinks, making sure I don't have any leaks before I put the rest of the dirt and the mulch in there on top, and then I'll be bringing that video to you. So I hope you like this short episode on the High Desert Garden. Thanks for watching.